Alright guys, I got another video for you. I got this game here that you've probably played before, or maybe you haven't. You have a little skeleton, he runs around, and your goal is to grab the coins. Once you grab all the coins, a portal will appear, and then you go in the portal and it takes you to the next level. On each level it adds another thwomp each time. You want to collect all the coins and just keep going to see how many coins you can collect before they defeat you. Now if you'll take a look at these thwomps, you'll see how they move. They kind of like get angry when you get near them, and then they kind of like jump towards you. And it leaves a little red spot on the ground that shows you where they're going to go. But here's how they move. Oh, I'm going to die. Oh, dodged it. See how they're moving? They don't just immediately appear. They kind of jump from one spot to the next. And if they hit you, they can defeat you. Alright, well, we're going to be talking about the way that these little thwomps move. Let's take a look and see what would happen if we did not move them like that. Maybe if they just moved in a different way, or we just moved them from one spot to the other. So here is the project file you should be working in. I'm on Thwomp level 1. If you press play on this, you'll have the same little skeleton guy. He walks around, and if you get near the guys, they'll move, but when they move, they just immediately jump to where they want to go. This is not very fair for the player, and the player gets defeated very, very quickly. It doesn't make for a very fun game. I don't think anybody could gather all of those coins, because just as soon as you get in range, you're going to get hit, and there's no way you're going to dodge it. There's just absolutely no way that's going to happen. Okay, so what we want to talk about here is a different way to move those characters around, kind of like the first one I showed you, which that was moving using a tween. Now, what is a tween? Tweens are useful for animating. They require a numerical property to be interpolated over a range of values. The name tween comes from in-betweening, an animation technique where you specify keyframes and the computer interpolates the frames that come in between them. Animating something with a tween is called tweening. Alright, this is what we're going to use to make this happen. Alright, let me give you a better example of what a tween actually is. We can take a look at this Godot project that I made in Godot 3.5. You guys may have seen this before. How a tween works is this is going to move the asteroid from the left side to the right side. Let me set this to 2 seconds, and I want it to take 2 seconds. The tween that it's using is going to use the sine tween, or the sine transition, easing in. They're all set to easing in and sine right now. If I click go, you can see that the asteroid moves from the start location to the ending location, and when it does, it kind of just slowly moves across. Now there are different types of tweens that you can choose. Let's take a look at Quint. It's going to look a little bit. Let me leave the top one. I'll leave the top one as sine so you can see the difference. So the bottom ones are Quint. You can see they they're slower at the start, at the beginning, and then they speed up at the end there. Notice the values, how they're climbing, but they are all going to reach 1000 at the exact same time, because we're telling each of these tweens we want you to get from here to here and take 2 seconds, but the way I want you to interpret that space is using the Quint transition. Now let's try another one. This one I'll do Quart, this one I'll do Expo, and this one, the top one, let's do Bounce. So if I hit run, now you can see there's lots of different tweens that you can use here. They have all different kinds of transitions, and you can choose the one that works best for you. Additionally, not only are there different transitions, there are different types of easing. What is easing? This one eases in. Let's do ease in and out. So it's going to start out quicker and slow down. It's going to ease into the sign and then ease out of the sign. So you can see it, even though it's still the same transition, you added a different easing on it. Let's do the second one, easing out. So it starts off fast and then ends a little bit slower. Ease in. Let's do ease out and in. Alright, so there's a bunch of different combinations of easing that you can do. Let's take a look at one more. I really like the bounce one. And let's just look at the different types of easing here. You got a bunch of different types of bouncing tweens that you can do. And the really cool part is they'll end at the exact same time. And the computer is determining what the inside looks like, or what the transitions look like on the inside. Alright, let's go to the next page here. This is going to be Thwomp Mover. Here's our goal for you. We're going to go over each of these. I want you to make these transitions for your thwomps. It's a lot like the asteroid. So for the first one, I want you to just move him from one side to the next. I think it's cubic. Then the next one, I want you to make him grow and then move to the other side. The number 3, I want you to change his color and then move him across quickly with a little bounce at the end. Then pull him back. And then the last one, back and forth. Go to the end, do a spin. Bring him back, spin him, and change him back to the same color. I even added an all button so you can see them all working simultaneously. But this is going to be your end goal in this assignment, is to get all these different types of transitions. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at what we got to work with here, and we will get this going for you guys. See if we can't do this. Alright, so what I want you to do is go ahead and close this screen. And then let's go to, you should be on Challenge Thwomp Mover. If you haven't got there yet, it should be under Scenes and Challenge Thwomp Mover. The code that you're going to be working on is right here. It's under Challenge Thwomp Mover. Click on that, and let's start out by going up to the very top here. We've got a demonstration here, that little tutorial that I was showing you. You could click, this is with the asteroid tutorial. If you want to see that, you can navigate to this web page and play around with it yourself. Let me take you there right quick. You can go here and it will load a page for you, and you can click on Tools, and then you can go to Tween Tester. And if you want to see that little thing that I was showing you, there it is right there, and you can play around with it. Alright, let's scroll down. We've got some stuff here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about how to make a tween and how does it work. I've got some tabs here for you to click. So if you click this first little tab, it's like an arrow right next to it. Line 31 on mine. Yours might be up or down a little bit. But it says how to make a tween work. If I click on that, you can see that it's got a little link to the Go.Docs. The Go.Docs look like this. It'll take you here to this. You can read the description and all the stuff about it if you want to get more in depth. I'm going to walk you through doing that though, so you don't have to go there, but there are those things there for you. Okay, it says the first thing you need to do is to create a tween. It says first create a tween. You use tween. Oh, that should not be get tree, create tween. This, well, I guess you could be. You're going to create the tween. I don't need this part right there, but that's okay. Then you take the tween and you get the tween property and you choose something, a node for us. That's going to be our thwomp, so we'll choose our thwomp. And if we wanted to change the thwomp's color, we would say, hey, I want to modulate this tween. Then I would choose the final color, and then how long do we want it to take. Alright, so this is the, and then that one shows how you would change a thwomp from a normal color or whatever color it was to red and make it take 1 second. Alright, the next one is an example for scaling. Let's scroll. If you look at the next tab here, it says the different transition types. This is a list of all of them, so you can open that up and see all of those. And the next one are different easing types that you can open up and see all the different easing types. And then finally, I have a couple extra functions that we're going to use in the ones down below. Parallel, chain, interval, and even callback. Alright, let's get started. We'll go down to the mover thwomp or move thwomp 1. The instructions it wants us to do is it wants us to move the thwomp from one side to the other using the cubic transition. So I'm going to start off by creating a tween. I'll say thwomp. Let's do thwomp 1 tween. is equal to create tween. All right, so that line right there, it created our tween. This is the property that's going to tell our guy how to move. So then I'll say thwomp1 tween dot tween property. And now I need to select an object. What do I want to do? Which one of these, what do I want to actually do? So I'm going to scroll up to the top. I'm going to use thwomp1. You can see each one of these gets the name for each one of these thwomps here. So you can use thwomp1, 2, or 3. And then we also have starting positions, ending positions, and the buttons and stuff. But we need thwomp1. So come down here and say thwomp1. And it set our first instruction here is move the thwomp from one side to the other using the cubic transition. So thwomp1, I want to change your position. I want to change your position. And where do I want to move it to? Well, up here I have an ending position. So thwomp1's ending position. That's where I want him to stop. And how long do I want it to take? It says use time to move. So let's use time to move. Okay, now that's going to tell the thwomp to move from one spot, from wherever he's at, change his position to this ending position, and then take this amount of time. I think the amount of time is 1 second, so take 1 second. Then the next instruction is to wait 2 seconds. If you look under these other helpful methods, in order to delay your tween or wait, you can use the tween interval, and this is an example of delaying for 2 seconds. So let's use that for our next one. So we're going to say thwomp1 tween dot tween interval, which is the delay, and it wants us to wait for 2 seconds. So I'll say 2. So this is a 2 second delay. All right, then finally we're going to want it. Oh, I almost forgot. At the top, it says on this one here, it wants us to use the cubic transition. Right now, it's just moving linearly. Let's take a look and see what I'm talking about here. So this is going to move our tween. So if I click one, or move our thwomp, but it's not using any type of transition. It's kind of just moving from one side to the other. So how do we add that cubic transition? To add the cubic transition, you're going to go to the end and you're going to say set transition, and then you get this big list of things you can choose from. The one that it wants us to use is cubic, so I'll set it to cubic. Alright, let's see what the difference is between that. So if I run this and I hit play, and I hit number 1, it's going to move us from one side to the other. And do you see that different movement? It looks pretty good. Alright, we want him to go back because he goes from one side to the other, but he doesn't return. So I want him to return, and the return is basically the exact same as moving over there. So I'm going to grab this entire line here that I just wrote, and I'll paste it. And we don't want to end at the same spot. We want to end where the thwomp began. So I'll say thwomp1 start position. So the first one says grab thwomp1, tell him to change his position to the ending position and take some time, which that one's 1 second, and use the transition of cubic. Then wait 2 seconds and then move yourself back in 1 second. Let's see, 1 second there, and use the transition cubic there. Alright, so let's play it one more time. So he should move from one side to the other, then he'll wait for 2 seconds, and then he'll return back. Alright, so there we go. We could use something like that for our enemy, and that would be a lot better than him just teleporting over there immediately. Alright, so there's the first one. Let's go ahead and move on to the second one. And the second one's going to look very similar to this, so let's grab that line there. Except for We're not going to use Thwomp Tween 1 this time. I'm going to use Thwomp Tween number 2. And the first one says, scale the thwomp up to 5x in 0.25 seconds using ease in and ease out. Okay, so let's say Thwomp 2 Tween. We want you to tween a property for us. The property we want you to tween is on Thwomp number 2. So I'll go to Thwomp number 2. And I want you to change his scale. So this time I'm going to write scale there. And then for the final value, it says it wants it to be 5 times the size. So that is a vector 2, 5, 5. So that is, I want you to change your scale from whatever you were to 5, 5. And how long do we want it to take? We want it to take 0.25 seconds. So then I'll say 0.25. And then at the end here, it says use the easing in and out. So if I say dot set ease to ease in and out. All right. So we want him to scale up. Then we want him to move from one side to the other using the spring transition. Okay, so we'll say Thwomp Tween 2. We want you to tween a property on Mr. Thwomp number 2. We want you to change where you're at. We want you to move from one side to the other, so that's going to be position. We want you to go from to the position of final, let's see, I think it's Thwomp 2 ending position, and I want you to do that. It doesn't give me a time, so I'm just going to use time to move here. Time to move, which is also the same thing as saying 1 second. So I could just say 1 second. But this one wants us to use the spring transition. So I'll say dot set transition to the spring transition. All right, so we are moving the thwomp from the start position to the ending position in 1 second. We want it to use the spring transition. And then the next thing, it says wait for 2 seconds. So I'm going to say Thwomp Tween number 2. Thwomp Tween 2, I need you to do a tween interval of 2 seconds. So wait 2 seconds. And then we want you to move back. Alright, so I'm going to grab this same thing here. I'm going to grab this mover here. How long do we want it to take? Just 1 second. But this time we want to use the quint transition. So let's do Q quint transition. And we don't want to stop at we don't want to move to the ending position because we're already there. So we want to move to back to the start position. All right, the last step here is to scale him back down to 3, 3 in 1 second using the elastic transition. All right, so I'm going to grab this one up here because this is our scaling one. All right, let's scale Mr. Thwomp 2. Scale him down to 3x, so that's going to be 3, 3. How long do I want it to take? I want it to take 1 second. And this time we want to use the elastic transition. So I will say set trans to elastic right there. All right, I think I just got all of them, but I can double check myself here. It says scale the thwomp to 5, 5. That's that right there. Take 2 5 seconds. There's that. Using the ease in and out. There's using easing in and out. On the second one, it says move the thwomp. That's going to be a position to the other side. Okay, we'll move him to the ending position. And we're going to take 1 second. And using the spring transition, so there's the spring. wait 2 seconds. There's the wait 2 seconds. Then we want to move him back. So we're going to take him back to the start position. I used 1 second there. And we used the quint transition. We'll see what that one looks like. And then at the very end, we want to shrink him back down. We want to shrink him back down. Take 1 second to do that using the elastic transition. So he's going to go from 5.5 to 3.3. 3.3 is actually his normal size, or whenever you look at him on the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Number 1, he does his normal move. Now number 2, he's going to scale up. He kind of like rocks back and forth, moves over, and then moves back and shrinks down. Alright, so we got these two working. Let's go, let's go. If I hit all, you can see both of them run at the exact same time. Perfect. Alright, let's go to the third one here. Alright, so same method again. So I'm going to say var. Let's create a Thwomp 3 tween. Is that how I've been spelling it? Let's see. Yep, it looks like. Is equal to, let's create a tween. Alright, now we're going to say, we want to this time color the Thwomp chartreuse in 2 seconds. Okay. To color the Thwomp, we're going to say Thwomp tween. Thwomp tween number 3. We need you to tween interpret a property. Tween a property. The property we want to tween is on Thwomp number 3. So I'll say Thwomp number 3. We want to change our color, which that is modulate. We want you to modulate your color to chartreuse. There it is. If I push C, you can see it, chartreuse. So you want to change the color to chartreuse in 0.2 seconds. So 0.2. Alright. Next step is changes color to violet or blue violet. That's very similar to this line, so I'm going to duplicate that line. You can use Control-Shift-D to do that. Control-Shift-D. And just the only difference here from this line to this line is literally the color. So I'm just going to choose blue. What does it want? Blue violet. So blue violet. Then we're going to do it again. Control-Shift-D. This time it's crimson. Do it again. This time it's going to be dark green. And one more time. This time it's going to be fuchsia. Alright, so I've got the color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. So I've got all 5 of my colors. The next thing says move to the other side with the bounce transition easing in and out. Okay, so I'll say Thwomp 3 tween. We want to interpret a property, tween property. We want to do that on Mr. Thwomp 3. And that's going to be the position. Where do we want to go to? We want to go to the ending position. So Thwomp 3 ending position. And we want it to use time to move. And we want to use the bounce transition. So I'll say dot set transition to bounce. I spelled Thwomp wrong right there. That should be an M for Thwomp. I put Thwomp or something. Alright, on this last one, so we have the bounce transition and ease out. So I'm going to add an ease out. Set ease to easing out. Ooh, that line is kind of long there. Look at that. But we're going from, we're using the bounce transition and the ease out. So we got bounce and ease out. This is actually 1 second. Let me do 1. So I'll change it so it's a little shorter. We're changing the position. We're going to the ending position using the bounce transition and move to the other side, easing in or easing out. Then we want to wait 2 seconds. I'm going to grab this guy right here. It's the same thing, but I want it to make sure it's Thwomp Tween number 3 and not number 2. Alright, so wait 2 seconds. Return the Thwomp to the start location with the quad transition. Alright, so it's going to be a lot like that one, but I'll say Thwomp Tween number 3. We want to tween a property. The on Thwomp number 3. We want to change your position back to the start position. Thwomp 3. Uh-oh, I forgot a comma there. That's why it's not autofilling. Start position. We want it to take 1 second. And the transition we want to use is the quad transition. Set transition to quad. Last thing, and return the Thwomp to the regular color at the exact same time right there. So I'll show you how to do that. In order to do that at the exact same time, we're going to choose Thwomp 3 Tween. And we're going to do parallel. Parallel, if you scroll up here and you click on this helpful methods, you'll see a parallel one here I put, and this will run at the exact same time. So it will do the exact same thing as, or it'll do the tween above it, and these two will run at the same time. So if you want him to return to his spot and at the same time return back to the color white, you're going to use the parallel here. So I'll say dot tween property. We want to mess with Thwomp number 3. We want him to modulate his color. And we want him to go back to the color that he started out at, which was just capital white. And we want it to take 0.2 seconds this time. Alright, let's see what that works, and looks like we got everything in there. Let's see what it looks like. So we got number 3, changes a bunch of colors, boom, bounces, doot 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 doot, and then he moves back to his spot. So we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3. Alright, now we need is the last one. You can click the all button to see them all run at the same time. Let's go ahead and do that last one though. Alright, for our last guy here, we need to create another tween. So var Thwomp 4 tween is equal to create tween. Alright, now it wants us to move him to the other side. So we'll say Thwomp 4 tween dot tween property. We are working on Thwomp number 4, and we want to change his position. We want to move him to the ending spot. So Thwomp ending position number 4, and we want it to take 1 second. What transition does it want? It wants the spring transition, so I'll say set transition to the spring one, which I think that's the very bottom one. And then we're going to set the easing to ease in right there. Whew, that's a long line too. Alright, so it's a lot of different properties there. So we got the Thwomp 4, change position to the ending position, take 1 second. Use the spring transition and ease in. Okay, so we got that first one. Next one says change the Thwomp's color to red at the same time of moving him. Okay, so Thwomp 4 tween we want to, how do we do it at the same time? Well, we use tween parallel. I think, or maybe it's just parallel PA. Yes, we use parallel, then tween property. The property we're tweening, I think this time is what the, we're doing it on Thwomp 4, so let's go to Thwomp 4, and we're changing his color, modulate. We're going to modulate his color to red, and we want that to use also 1 second. Okay, okay. So we got move him to the other side with the ease in and a spring. Then we want to change him to the red color in 1 second at the same time, which is that parallel. All right, after he gets to the other side, oh, we're going to rotate him too. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll say Thwomp tween number 4. We need to tween another property. The property we want to tween is on Thwomp number 4. What do we want to do with him? Well, we want to rotate him. So I'm going to do rotation degrees. How much do we want to rotate him? Well, 4,500 degrees. And we want it to take 1 second. This one doesn't say to do it at the exact same time, so I'm not going to do parallel. Then we want to wait 2 seconds, so I'll say Thwomp 4 tween dot tween interval of 2 seconds. That's our 2 second delay right there. Okay, the last is return the Thwomp to the start location in 0.25 seconds. Okay, so let's grab our Thwomp. We'll say Thwomp 4 tween dot tween property. We're tweening on Thwomp 4. We want to change their position. We want to change it back to Thwomp start position, and it says in 0.25, so we'll do 0.25 seconds. All right, the very last thing is then restore his color and rotation back to normal at the same time. Okay, so this one is at the same time. So Thwomp number 4, Thwomp number 4 tween. We want to change him back to the same color. So tween property. We want to tween Thwomp number 4. We want to change his modulate. We want to set him back to the normal color, which is color dot white, and we want it to take, I think it says 0.5 seconds. And this one we wanted to also do it at the exact same time. What did I spell wrong here? Color, oh, it's lowercase on this, O-L-O-R. And this says at the same time. So I need to add a parallel here. Alright. Okay, so ease in and out. No, ease in and spring. So easing in and spring. 1 second ending position. That looks good. Then we want to change the color to red at the same time. There's that. Red at the same time. 1 second. After he gets to the other side, make him rotate 4,500 degrees. Yes. So 1 second, 4,500 degrees. Rotation degrees. We also need to rotate him back. So let's grab this one here. And we will rotate him back to 0 degrees. And it needs to be at the same time. So I'll say dot parallel. And 0.5 seconds. Almost missed that one. So move him back for in 0.25 seconds. And this is supposed to be normal right here. That's supposed to say normal. Then restore his color and rotation. So we restore his color and we restore his rotation in 0.5 seconds. Okay, I think we just did it. Alright, let's see what we got here. So number 4. Yes. 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 Alright, perfect. Alright, let's see what they all look like. So we have several different ways that those thwomps could move. And that's going to be it for this video. I think we did pretty good. Hopefully you guys learned how to do these thwomps and use the tweens to make them actually move. So you can start adding new things into your game to give them some different transitions, and you don't always have to just move from one spot to the other. You can use a tween to do it. It helps change color and rotation, scale, all that stuff. So I just tried to showcase that for you guys. Hopefully you learned something in this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.